Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live here from NGC Studios here in South Florida, and I want to thank you so very much for joining me here tonight, wherever you are in the past, present, future hour, if you're listening to this on the podcast. If you're joining me live tonight, welcome to everyone in the chat. As always, you can reach me on Twitter and Instagram at @somebody_NGC and at Whitfield Report on Twitter, hashtag Whitfield Report, and Gav and Minds at samwhitfield.com. And yeah, that's the website. So anyway, welcome to the show. We have a jam-packed show tonight, mostly regarding impeachment, and hello to everyone in the chat. And yeah, we have a lot of people in here already. So hello to Johnny Arcade, hello to Apex Gamma, hello to Just Saying, hello to El Jefe. Hello to Vincent Graham. Not sure if I've seen you before, but welcome, nonetheless. And yeah. All right. So Merry Christmas to you all as well, and Happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends as well. The Jews. We'll get to that a bit later. But anyway, we're here to discuss impeachment here tonight, since that is mainly what's been going on in the news. And look, first off, let's just get one thing straight. Just because Trump is impeached doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to get removed from office. Okay. Sorry, Dems. I know that that's what you wish, but that's not how impeachment works. It's not gonna happen yet. And it's not going to happen in general, because as soon as the Senate gets the chance to vote on it, they'll basically throw the impeachment in the garbage. So it's not going to happen. But Andrew Klavan at the Daily Wire had a particularly great reaction to the impeachment hearings, and he had some footage of the impeachment proceedings in the House that he played on his show that were pretty good. So we're gonna start this clip off from Andrew Klavan's show at the Daily Wire, his reaction and why this impeachment is so ridiculous. I'll add my commentary, of course, afterwards. Clip number 1, let's roll the tape here.
So the rest of us are celebrating this peace and prosperity that has come with the Trump administration. There's just no question about it. It has been great. But Nancy Pelosi left her district in San Francisco, stepped over the homeless people littering the sidewalks. Maybe her chauffeur carried her to a car so she wouldn't step in the human feces all over the place, or maybe, pierce her foot on one of the syringes lying all over San Francisco. And she went to the House to lead the impeachment of the president. And this was a very, very solemn moment. You could tell, because every Democrat said so.
We gather today under the dome of this temple of democracy to exercise one of the most solemn powers that this body can take.
It's with solemn purpose today that I vote to impeach.
Madam Speaker, it is with a solemn sense of duty that I write.
Yeah, right.
Madam Speaker, as we take this solemn, necessary step of impeaching President Trump.
I rise on this solemn occasion.
Impeaching a president is one of the most solemn and consequential.
I cast this solemn vote for the many individuals in my district.
Members of Congress swear a solemn oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and today we fulfill our oath.
Madam Speaker, I rise with a heavy heart to support this resolution.
I rise today with a heavy heart.
It is with a heavy heart, but a resolved one. Madam Speaker, it is with a heavy heart and a profound sense of the gravity of this moment that I rise today in support of the impeachment.
Madam Speaker, I rise with a heavy heart. The two most difficult votes any member of Congress ever has to cast to vote to go to war are to impeach.
Today, as Speaker of the
Nancy still does not look good at all. Her Botox job does not hold up. I mean, Michael Jackson's plastic surgery held up better. And it was god-awful in its day. Anyway, you get the idea, they're all supposedly solemn, right? It's so hard. El Jefe has a good comment. Was that Elijah Cummings? I thought that dude was dead. Well, me too, El Jefe. I thought he was gone too. Now, for those watching on YouTube, don't misunderstand. That's not me wishing him dead. Neither is it, El Jefe wishing him, dead. But we're just saying the guy's old, so it's a bit of a surprise he's, still around.
House, I solemnly and sadly open the debate.
Bo-ho, 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 bo-ho. It's taking it real hard.
Yeah, they were solemn. You could tell how solemn they were. And then, they had two counts of impeachment. One was something and the other was something else. Neither of them was a crime. Neither of them was an impeachable offense. But there they were. And when they won the first vote and they actually got the impeachment, here was the reaction.
Article 1 is adopted. The question is on adoption of Article 2.
Oh, not everyone got the message. Adam Schiff, and the House Intel Democrats were seen out celebrating and drinking at a fancy D.C. restaurant, Charlie Palmer. And here's Rashida Tlaib before the vote.
Hey everyone, I am on my way to the United States House floor to impeach President Trump on behalf of my incredible district, 13 districts strong.
I hate millennial congressmen, by the way. I mean, I get that Instagram and Snapchat are, a big cultural thing right now, but I prefer to keep that out of politics, on both sides. It's cringy, honestly. El Jefe with the great comments. Grandma Nancy just gave them the angry eyes. Yeah, right. Yep. You said it.
If she were smiling anymore, she would break her nasty face. The grin on this woman's face. The Washington Post, WAPO reporter Rachel Bade sent out this picture of them all celebrating and laughing and with a tweet that said, "Merry Impeachment, Merry Impeachment." And then when everybody said, "Oh, so the Washington Post is just basically an anti-Trump vehicle where democracy dies of boredom," she pulls it down and she says, "Well, everybody misunderstood it to mean exactly what it obviously meant." So this very, very solemn impeachment. Oh, and now Pelosi, this is unbelievable. Pelosi is saying she may not hand the rules of impeachment over to the Senate because she wants to be able to negotiate with the Senate over the rules, which she has no right to do. The Senate can make its own rules. That just like the House made these incredibly unfair rules where the president couldn't call any witnesses, or they could only call the witnesses they said he could call. And so she wants to hold this up. And on top of this, she gave a press conference today, and when they asked her, she said, I'm not taking any more questions on impeachment. So this is this solemn emergency, the fate of the House, the fate of the nation, Western civilization is at stake. It's all oh my gosh, it's such a terrible, terrible thing. But we're not talking about it. And I may not send it over to the Senate because it's better politically. I mean, who do they think they're fooling? I have now spoken personally to 3 separate people who said I was a never Trumper, but I'm voting for him now because this is absurd. That's a lot of people for one person to know who say this stuff, and I haven't talked to that many people. So it's pretty wild what I think they're doing. I just think it is amazing. If you enjoyed this video, be sure.
The question is your friend Ben one of them, Andrew? I sure hope so. I don't know if Ben Shapiro is never Trump anymore. I know that he was during the election, and I vehemently disagreed with him on, that whole thing then, but hopefully he's, coming around to Trump. At least that's what I hope so. Okay, that's a lot better. Now the mic is actually leveled. Anyway, so it was hard to find excerpts of the rally that Trump did the other night and in Michigan, and it was hard to find key moments of his reaction to the impeachment, but I found one and kind of clipped it down a bit myself from the Michigan rally. So here was Trump's reaction to the impeachment. I didn't get to see this whole rally, but I got to see a little bit of the rally when it was on. I kind of tuned in and out of it on my iPad the other night, and I did see a part of this, and this reaction was great. So this is Trump talking about the impeachment, and apparently I didn't have it queued up already. No worry though. Let me just go into my files here, and yeah, this is Trump's reaction to the impeachment during his rally in Michigan. Cut number 2. Let's roll the tape. Open.
So I said in my letter to Pelosi, by proceeding with your invalid impeachment, you're violating your oath of office. You're breaking your allegiance to the Constitution. You're declaring open war on American democracy. You dare to invoke the Founding Fathers in pursuit of this election nullification scheme, yet your spiteful actions display unfettered contempt for America's founding and your egregious conduct. And listen, though, it's so true. It threatens to destroy what our founders pledged and, in fact, their very lives to build. You are the ones interfering in America's elections. You are the ones subverting America's democracy. We did nothing wrong, nothing whatsoever. This was just an excuse. You are the ones obstructing justice. You are the ones bringing pain and suffering to our republic for your own selfish, personal, political, and partisan gain. They're bringing pain. But what they've done with this perversion, it's perversion. And when you watch some of these people get up and speak today, they don't even listen. Oh, you have violated the Constitution. Well, what has he done wrong? Well, we don't know that. They don't even have any crime. This is the first impeachment where there's no crime. I say, tell me what I did, please. Well, we don't know. You violated the Constitution. You had Turley, who's smart, Alan Dershowitz, these guys, all of them. They say there's no crime. There's no crime, right? There's no crime. I'm the first person to ever get impeached, and there's no crime. I feel guilty. You know what they call it? Impeachment light. It's impeachment light. That's why, with Richard Nixon, I just see it as a very dark era. Very dark, you don't even like to think. I don't know about you, but I'm having a good time. It's crazy. But I also know we have a great group of people behind us in the Republican Party. We really do.
He's not, this isn't the end of the clip, but I just have to say, he's not sweating or breaking a sweat one bit. He's still out there kicking ass and taking names. And my friend John Neary said it best one time on a stream that Trump should be a comedian. He's really good at like working a crowd, and he obviously has fun. So anyway, hello to A Storm of Wrenches and to Natclo. Not sure why you guys aren't wrenched yet. Let me fix that real quick. Hold on here. Okay. Add moderator. Okay. Yeah, A Storm of Wrenches is good. And Natclo, I guess I already modded you. So, but I never officially welcomed you to the mods. So, welcome to the mods. So, but yeah, I mean, Trump's not breaking a sweat at all. So far, continuing to work the crowd and just be jovial as always. I don't know if that's a word people still use, jovial, but hey, let's go with it, shall we?
Feel the same way, but we have a great group of people behind us. We had it in the House and we have it in the Senate. They're doing a great job. So I'm not worried. Because it's always good. When you don't do anything wrong, you get impeached. That may be a record that will last forever. But you know what they have done? They've cheapened the impeachment process. And now anybody that becomes, this is a sacred position. Anybody that becomes president, I mean, they could have a phone call and they get impeached. So if the Republicans, if you had a Democrat as president, we have a Republican House, they don't like the guy for whatever reason or the woman, they impeach the person. It's cheapened it. It's exactly what our founding fathers didn't want, and they said it could happen, and it's happened.
Yep. He's not wrong.
But I know one thing, Americans will show up by the tens of millions next year to vote Pelosi the hell out of office.
He's not wrong. So, yeah, this whole impeachment thing is over the same old, it's over the same old shit, as always. The Russia stuff, the Ukraine stuff, that they always bring up, well, Trump was asking Ukraine for, dirt on Joe Biden, a political opponent. And, that's not ethical. But then you look at what Joe Biden was supposedly involved with Ukraine, with his son, and like making crooked business deals while he was president, or while he was vice president of the United States, I would say. And I'm sitting over here and I'm like, okay, the fact that you guys in the Democrat Party are more concerned about the fact that Trump like took a phone call about, with the Ukrainian president about Joe Biden, supposedly, allegedly. We don't even know that that's really what the phone call was about, but that was what the Dem narrative was, that he was, trying to find dirt on Biden. Then you find out what the supposed dirt on Biden that Trump found out about was, and it's like, even if Trump did that, which I don't, there's no evidence that he did, and they're still trying to impeach him. But it's like, shouldn't you guys be at least like trying to ground Biden, and take him down too? Anyway, yeah, the impeachment is just absurd. But Trump's approval rating the last time I checked was at 53%, so he's still doing good, and this is turning out to be a disaster for the Dems. I will share. As you guys saw in that clip that I played of Clavin, all the Dems were acting like it was a big somber occasion. And then, they went off script and revealed that, it wasn't, they went off script and revealed that they weren't really somber about what they were doing. So, and for those of you asking real quick, because I just had someone DM me on Twitter. I have my Twitter DMs. If you guys are asking about call-ins, I'm not set up to take call-ins on this show. However, if I do an after show, wink wink, I might do a call-in segment on the after show, but I'm not set up for it on this episode. Anyway, as I was saying, the Dems are sabotaging themselves right now with this whole impeachment thing. Their approval rating is tanking. Congress's continues to, and Trump's is at a solid 53% now. Rush Limbaugh appeared on Fox and Friends last weekend. I saw this clip on Sunday, and I like Rush. I've listened to him for years. Most long time listeners know that he was an inspiration of mine. I don't listen to him as much as I used to, even though I have the podcast subscription. But his take on impeachment was really good. So here is Rush Limbaugh discussing impeachment on Fox and Friends here. Clip number 3, roll the tape.
Well, the November job numbers just released, and they are huge.
Look at that. It was anticipated 185,000. The job numbers, 266,000.
Unemployment rate now 3.5%, drops a percentage point there from 3.6. These numbers are astounding, even for experts. Joining us now, one of those experts, Rush Limbaugh, conservative talk show host, the best in the business, maybe the best it ever was. Rush, first off, your reaction to those numbers?
I think they're through the roof, aren't they? If you had to give President Trump a legacy right now, it would be peace and prosperity. What every voter goes to the voting booth on Election Day wants to achieve with their vote. Peace and prosperity. Donald Trump, I think, is the only president in his short tenure who has not started a war in order to create peace and prosperity. He's actually trying to draw us out of military conflicts we shouldn't be. So I think this is fabulous news, and it's once again going to illustrate the utter futility that the Democrat Party faces in trying to get rid of him.
Absolutely, Rush. When you look at those numbers and you look at what the Democrats say on the trail, they still talk about the economy, rebuild the economy, bring jobs back. They talk about forgotten industries. Joe Biden's talking about that in Iowa. How in the world do they run against a headwind of such economic success?
They impeach him. They don't have anything to run on. They literally have nothing. They have sacrificed every bit of concern for the American people. They're making no bones about the fact they really don't care about the American people. The American people don't want the president impeached. The American people love the economy.
Yeah, Russia's absolutely right here. This whole impeachment thing is a farce. The whole reason why the Dems are doing this, and I said this a few weeks ago, they don't have anyone. They don't have anyone to run. They literally don't. All the candidates suck. Uh, the 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 candidate who I thought might have had a chance of uh, beating Trump dropped out, and that was Kamala Harris. I almost blanked on her name. Lara Rapshaw in the chat goes, "Just how old are you, Sam?" 25 going on 42. Larry, to answer your question, or no, I'm I'm 24 going on 42. I will be 25 in January though, in all seriousness. But yeah, so this impeachment thing continues to be an absolute uh, clusterfuck for the Dems. It's the same old, same old. They're basically butthurt that he got elected in 2016 in the first place. They've dragged uh, this whole Russian narrative and basically beaten the dead horse for the last 3 years. And, now they've only slightly altered the course with Ukraine. And so it's just absurd. And the fact that Pelosi is trying to, stall the impeach, is trying to, stall the Senate from doing their, job. I mean, she's trying to manipulate the Senate. She knows that the Senate isn't going to impeach, so now she's trying to screw with what they're doing, and it just continues to be absolutely absurd. And I don't feel bad at all that the Dems are going to plummet after this. In fact, it'll be amazing once the impeachment gets thrown out. There's going to be a whole bunch of hand wringing in the Democrat Party, and we're going to hear endless remarks from Pelosi about, how the Senate is being treasonous and yada, 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 all that stuff. But like I said, this is their desperate attempt to remove Trump because they don't have anyone who they can run against Trump. You can't. This was a big saying in 2016, but you can't, stump the Trump. So, Lair Abshaw, wondering how you could have been able to listen to Limbaugh for all those years. Well, I'll take a brief detour, but long story short, during the summers, I would go to work with my mom when I was a kid, and she sold plants because she had like a landscaping business for a while in Colorado. And when she would go to jobs and clients during the summer, I would go with her, and in the car she would have Limbaugh and Hannity and Levin and all those guys. So I grew up listening to those guys, and then around the time I became like 14, that was when podcasting came about. Tried my hand at it, and the rest is history. I did a more in-depth episode on all of that like a few months ago. So, but yeah, that's just the little quick detour into my history. So, yeah. Merry Christmas, Dems. I guess now you're just trying to, ruin the holidays for the rest of us. Yeah. At any rate, yeah. There's nothing. Yeah, Al Happy. There's nothing wrong with listening to Al Rushbow. So, yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, no. Blair was just asking why why I was so young and listening to Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, that was it. That was all. I'll happen. But yeah. Well, I mean, I was also a big history buff when I was a kid, and current events. So that was like the one subject, and well, I was good at English, and writing and history and stuff. Science somewhat, but I mainly sucked at math. So hence why I'm majoring in technical communications. A lot more writing. In college, I've always been, better with stuff rather than with, calculus and all that abstract, number stuff. So, but, speaking of conservatives, or quote unquote conservative, this also is a bit hilarious. The conservative infighting continues. Or let me rephrase this. The conservative LARPing infighting continues, right? So apparently Nick Fuentes is now getting chewed out, and rightly so, for harassing Ben Shapiro, and like confronting him on the streets at Turning Point's Student Action Summit here in Florida, which, by the way, some people were asking me if I was going to go to Student Action Summit, and I had to reserve tickets, or I would have had to reserve tickets during my final exams. Like, that was when I would have had to buy them, and I didn't have the time to buy them. And saying off, even with like a student discount, they're still pretty expensive. And yeah, I know I live here in Florida, but it's all the way up in like West Palm Beach, and you guys know my feelings about Turning Point. Like, I'm not a major fan of Turning Point to begin with. But with that being said, I'm not a Nick Fuentes fan either. And so the fact that, he basically made an idiot of himself, trying to confront Ben here. So, this has gotten a bunch of reaction, and I want to play it for you.
No way!
I'm here with Andy No. Welcome back to Slightly Offensive.
Wow, here he is.
Really,
T-pose
really
on
weird.
Ben Shapiro.
T-pose on you.
Let's hit the T-pose. Well,
T-pose Army.
Hey man, we're about, wow.
All right. What do you think about Ben Shapiro?
He's not drinking enough adrenochrome if this is happening right now.
So if you don't know, we're here outside of Turning Point USA conference where Nick Fuentes was kicked out after trying to enter. And we also have Andy No here documenting, and we are running into Ben Shapiro apparently Are you going to walk across and greet him?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he'll greet me. Are we going to go over? Let's go over.
All right.
This can't be in the middle of the street, though.
We'll keep going.
Oh, okay.
Ben, it's great to see you. Why did you give a 45-minute speech about me at Stanford, and you won't even look at my
Hey, he's with his kids.
Come on, I'm right here. Oh, hey, let him cross, man. Let him cross. I know you're with your family, but I can't get to anywhere else. A 45-minute speech? Wow. Well, that's our free speech warrior, everybody. Champion of the battle of ideas. Good job, man. Flex my ideas, man.
Hey, come on. It's his family, man. It's his family.
Okay, now I want to pause this clip here. I mean, it's almost over, but first off, Nick acts like he was just, that it was just coincidence that he, bumped into Shapiro, right? But someone had to have, let him know where, Ben was staying, what hotel he was at. There was no way that this wasn't coordinated somewhat, right? So, I don't believe that Nick just, coincidentally bumped into, Ben and his family while he was, surrounded by a film crew. Okay, that's the first thing. Second off, and this is one of the things that has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way about Fuentes. And again, I've defended Fuentes in terms of saying that he shouldn't be deplatformed, and he has his right to his free speech, but that doesn't mean I have to like him or even agree with him. But what he basically does is he's one of these what I like to call edgy boys who likes to make who likes to make some of the most extreme comments possible, right? He'll make comments about the Jews, but he'll muddle down just a bit so that it doesn't sound blatantly anti-Semitic. And then when you call him out, he'll basically go I didn't actually say that. So he's trying to make himself look like the victim here, and Ben's just bullying him when Ben Shapiro actually has some fair grievances about Fuentes. But even at that, what you don't do is you don't confront someone when they're with their family. Going back to the hotel, and I mean I've seen people say stuff on Twitter well, Ben just brought his family here to Florida because he knew he would confront Nick Fuentes, and so he was using his family as a shield. It was just to avoid Nick Fuentes. No, dipshits. Florida is a big tourism state, especially during the holidays. People come from all over the country, for the holidays and for Christmas. And yeah, I mean, I get that, Shapiro was doing a Turning Point event. And I get that he was a speaker, but still, people like to bring their families here on vacation too. There are several business people, who do work here in Florida who bring their families, with them as kind of like a mini vacation, especially in the area where I'm at, here in Florida. So it's not that uncommon. And if anyone thinks that Ben Shapiro simply brought his family to insulate himself from Nick Fuentes. They're delusional as to how important Nick Fuentes actually is. So then I love this part. So this is the part that not a lot of people have seen. The confrontation has been shared like on YouTube and Twitter, but this is the one part that not a lot of people have seen. I'll play for you.
Well, then aren't you supposed to rise above instead of going down in the mud with someone?
Because he gave a 45-minute speech about
You're only repeating that because you're trying to make yourself sound important and you're not.
Okay, that lady right there is absolutely right too. So for those of you listening on the audio podcast, right, Nick basically, does that whole setup where he stages just bumping into Shapiro. Shapiro crosses the street with his family and ignores him. Nick continues to walk to the hotel. And now he's just continuing to like loiter on the hotel grounds. And what you're about to see made me grin from ear to ear the first time I saw it.
This is the only time we can get him is when he's crossing the street and he uses. I guess he's just like the Palestinians using human shields, right?
Let's move to the sidewalk, right? So just because I take money from people that are different than me.
So basically, hotel security came out, and a lot of people on social media are like, a lot of the gripers, I should say, are like, well, why did hotel security come out? Because this is the guy who has kind of been like, harassing Shapiro and harassing Charlie Kirk again and again. As I've said numerous times in the past, I'm not a fan of Charlie Kirk necessarily, or of Turning Point, though I like what some of their chapter leaders are doing and what their individual chapters are doing. It's more of Turning Point's like I guess executive level that I have trouble with, but there are lots of great chapter leaders individually across the country, especially shout out to my buds Alex and Sean, who run the Turning Point USA chapter at Penn State, hosts of Real News, Versa Media News Network. They've been on the podcast 3 times this year. Those guys are great, and like I said, if Nick weren't so snarky, I wouldn't have a problem with I wouldn't have a problem with him as much. The way you handle that, first of all, right? If Nick is so influential, right, as people say he is, he should be able to email Ben's publicist or his, assistant, or email him directly and say, hey, I felt that you misrepresented me. Can we discuss this, one-on-one? Can we have a debate? That's how you ask Shapiro to a debate. You don't come at him on the street and say, Ben, why won't you debate me uh, and make like a 45-minute speech. And again, I'm not even saying you have to like Ben Shapiro, you know, to admit that what Nick did is cringe. So, you know, I love the fact that the alt-right is starting to consume itself. I really am. It's great. And yes, Sean, I did say Penn State. You guys are doing great work. Sean and the Versa Media crew are doing great work. So let me go into the chat here on YouTube. And this is way overdue. Welcome to the mods, guys. Yeah. Evil Eric has a great comment. By the way, I found that you can pin comments on the live stream, which I like. Evil Eric says, Ben had no choice but to walk away. I can't imagine having that kid confront me in front of my child. Ben's ability to walk away is admirable, to say the least. Yeah, I mean, especially considering like I have a pretty good. I'm pretty even tempered. Um, but Nick is one. Nick is one of the people that just, you know, he irritates me enough that like obviously I would never attack him physically, but he would get an earful from me if he confronted me on the street for no reason. Anywho, so it's funny, and look, for those people who are like, well, you're just a Ben Shapiro fanboy because you interviewed him, and it's like, look, I've disagreed with Ben Shapiro. Here's the whole thing with Ben Shapiro, because the gripers love to give me shit about interviewing Ben Shapiro, right? So I'm gonna save us all some time, and I'll get the insults out of the way. I know what you guys are gonna say. Oh, you're a Jew lover. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I have Jewish friends. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, I did interview Ben Shapiro. No, I do not work for Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro does not pay me. Look, when I interviewed him, I was 17 years old. I interviewed him about the late Andrew Breitbart, who was a hero of mine, which more than half of these kids that are doing this, whole YouTube game now. Yeah, Nick, I just called you a kid. Don't even know who Breitbart is anymore. I mean, I might be a crusty old man, I might be a crusty old boomer, as some of you guys would like to say, but, you know, at least I have some experience, and at least I know who, the greats are in our movement, and you, sir, are not one of them. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm a filthy Jew lover. Johnny and A Storm of Wrenches are absolutely right. So yeah, Whitfield backwards spell Zionist. You could Johnny, you could post that to social media, and the gripers would totally believe you. But anyway, yeah, I mean, even some of the people that like don't agree with Ben Shapiro like Ben Shapiro, even they agree that this was cringy of Nick to do. So, like I said, that meltdown was hilarious. Also, speaking of hilarious meltdowns, I know I said that I would cut back on Owen Benjamin commentary, and I have, but a prediction of mine came true regarding Owen. Uh, back in February, back in February, I said that Owen would come out against Trump and would turn against Trump. The Bears said that I was wrong about that, and you know, looks like, well, looks like I was right. I hate to brag, but I was right. The turn against Trump from Owen has officially happened. So I called this months and months and months ago, back in February. I can't remember which episode, but I know for sure I called it. So anyway, Owen Benjamin, actually, this clip is from our good friend Apex Gamma, friend of the show. Shout out to him. Owen Benjamin, Obama didn't deplatform me. Trump did. Again, I just, this is almost exactly how I predicted Owen's turn against Trump would happen. Almost word for word, what I had said would happen. So I'm ecstatic about this.
I've known about this for a while. You realize that they will not help you. He ran against immigration, and there's never been more. Exactly. He ran against censorship. There's never been more attacks ever against the conspiracy truth community. Under Obama, there was not this deplatforming. There was not this amount of... I wasn't kicked off Twitter under Obama. I wasn't kicked off YouTube under Obama. I wasn't kicked off Facebook under Obama. All under Trump.
Okay, Owen, you were a Democrat back when Obama was president. You were a liberal Democrat through and through when Obama was president. And I mean, yeah, the censorship wasn't as bad back then. You're right, but that's not Trump's fault, right?
And so not only is he not helping, he's like, everything has gotten much, much worse in the quote unquote truth community under Donald Trump. He has not signed one order to tell Silicon Valley that they can't deplatform people like me. What he just signed shows that he can sign orders that'll make it so you're not allowed to criticize Jews. Under President Barack Obama, I never was kicked off any social media. You could post videos all day long about the nature of the earth, and you can criticize Israel and all this stuff. Under Trump, it's all changed. Oh yeah, and there was never red flag laws under Barack Obama. Never. I now understand what it is. Like, you put up a guy like Trump, and then...
That is only because the Republican Congress fought Obama tooth and nail when Obama wanted to implement red flag laws, Owen. Now, believe me, I'm not saying that Trump is great on red flag laws either. That is the one area where Trump has faltered. But Obama, if he had his way, wouldn't have been that great either. So, in fact, when Ben Shapiro debated Piers Morgan over gun control back in 2012, that was one of the things I asked Ben about in my interview. That was around that whole time. And we talked briefly about how Obama wanted gun gun control. Again, this man has no concept. So
he's like our guy. Oh, he'll criticize. And vaccine laws have gotten way worse under Trump. Like all this shit that he ran on, nothing he's done. And it's like, think about the news has gotten more crazy. Everything is revolved around him. Everything's revolved around his fake impeachment, nonstop. So
again, Owen, that's not Trump's fault. That is the leftist media's fault, and crazy alt-right, nut jobs like you who make the right look bad, right? And then they try and pin your BS on Trump. And so that's why the left is obsessed with Trump, and they're upset that he's anti-establishment too, and whatnot.
That's it. And I don't care because I've known for a long time that Barack Obama was not here to help black people and Donald Trump is not here to help Americans. And it's like, that's just reality. I now understand what it is. Like, you put up a guy like Trump and then he's like our guy. Oh, he'll criticize. And vaccine laws have gotten way worse under Trump.
He'll criticize what? Were you about to say Trump will criticize Jews? That's what a lot of these alt-right people seem to think that Trump was going to do. I will admit that there was a contingency of the right that did think that Make America Great Again was, some white nationalist thing, but the vast majority of us, and what Trump meant when he said Make America Great Again was make America's economy great again, make America's, spirit great again. Yeah. Johnny Arcade has a great comment. Owen always hated Trump. I have a special video about this. Yeah, which I think I have played that before. I know I have that in my file archive somewhere. But I guess this is just like this is kind of like an add-on to that, Johnny, because when I played your video on the show, that was when all the bears were like, well, that was a long time ago. Owen's changed, and he won't turn against, Trump. And I'm like, wait for it. It will definitely happen. And lo and behold, folks, it did.
Like all this shit that he ran on, nothing he's done. And it's like, think about the news has gotten more crazy. Everything is revolved around him. Everything's revolved around his fake impeachment, nonstop. So, that's it. And I don't care because I've known for a long time that Barack Obama was not here to help black people and Donald Trump is not here to help Americans. And it's like, that's just reality. So what do? Do you get sad? Do you watch your pornos? Do you do your methamphetamine? No. Do you stop having kids? No. The whole reason this is happening is because people aren't having their fucking babies. Donald Trump is pushing to make it so no one can recognize the Armenian genocide. Why? Because the people you're not allowed to criticize were the causes of the Armenian genocide. It wasn't, quote unquote, Muslims.
Yes, it was. Yes, and I don't want to get around the Ottoman Empire, the whole Armenian genocide, but yes, Owen, the Armenian genocide happened because of the Ottoman Empire, which was predominantly made up of radical Muslims. So yeah, it was. Uh,
And it's like they'll try and keep silencing forever. And the reason Trump can get away with all this silencing is because he makes people like us think he's our guy. He's not. Trump doesn't help anyone getting kicked off YouTube. He doesn't help anyone getting kicked off Twitter. It's gotten dystopian.
Okay, it's not. And look, I've been a guy who has, said that Silicon Valley is out of control. Like, believe me, I get that, like legitimate conservatives like myself have been concerned about big tech. Joe Rogan, who's not like a hardcore conservative, he's more like a libertarian. He's been concerned about censorship. Alex Jones, another conservative, has been concerned about censorship. There are a lot of people who are concerned about censorship. Trump is too, but we're kind of in a sticky situation here because no one necessarily wants to, legislate private corporations and whatnot and private companies because that opens a whole slippery slope. That's the whole issue here, Owen. And besides, the reason you got banned from all these platforms was because you repeatedly broke terms of service. This is the other thing I love about, the alt-right, but Owen in particular. A lot of them are like, well, why did we get deplatformed? You know, I only, in the case of Owen, I only said, nigger on Twitter, 50,000 times. I only intentionally, provoked them to ban me. And it's like, and now you're complaining that they ban you. Anyway, I don't get it. But anyway, I guess the ultimate point I was trying to make with this clip is I was right.
In the social media world. What's Trump done? He signed an executive order. It had nothing to do with building the wall. Had nothing to do with putting Hillary Clinton in jail. It had nothing to do with anything. And then his keynote speaker was Alan fucking Dershowitz, a guy who's just been accused by a bunch of kids that he fucked them. All right, now let's continue looking at vacuums because this.
Oh, that's the best part of this clip too, is the fact that like Owen also makes like a pretty staggering he makes like a pretty staggering accusation that Alan Dershowitz molested kids, right? He goes at the end of the clip, Trump's bad and Alan Dershowitz raped children. Now let's go back to talking about vacuums, guys. It's like, what? Where do you go? How do you go from talking at like, how bad Trump is to just randomly transitioning to vacuums? Anyway, watching his downfall, I will admit, has been one of the great pleasures of 2019. Right? This year started off with clearing with clearing Johnny's name and with clearing Gabe's name, right, of the whole gummy incident. We did that, pretty successfully, and then the rest of the time it's just been watching the the inevitable spiral of of Owen, and it's been amusing. It's been fun to watch. So, I guess kind of in conclusion of the show, what have we learned tonight? What did we learn tonight? Well, we learned that the Dems are continuing to dig a hole for themselves, and they're not going to get the impeachment that they want. It's the Dems aren't going to get what they want. The alt-right is crumbling. Nick Fuentes really made an ass of himself. Everyone agrees. And Owen Benjamin is crazy. So it's great because like all of the people who annoy me are self-destructing at the end of this year, and it's glorious. It really is. But anyway, folks, I think that'll do it for tonight's show. I'll probably have an after show here in a bit, so if you guys want to stick around on YouTube, stay tuned. I might get, Apex and some of the crew in here if they're interested. You know, stay tuned on Twitter and I'll announce it there. But if I do an after show. If not though, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. All of you, happy Hanukkah too, and whatever Muslims celebrate, I guess happy holidays to you. Um, this will be the last show before Christmas, but it won't be the last show before the end of the year. So yep. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and from all of us here at NGC Studios, good night, God bless, and God save this great nation, and Merry Christmas to you all.